Good morning.
Tom wants to talk about suits. We're going to get there. I want to talk about apprenticeship and craft. We've been teasing this as an art, but it really is a trade that you have to learn. What does it take to be able to cut out bespoke patterns by hand as you do?
Well, time is the essential key. In order to cut the patterns successfully, to measure somebody and then design something and cut it, you've got to know how it goes together. Yeah. So you've got to be able to know all the backstory as well. So you've got to know literally from the ground up what a human being making something can do. Because it's not just about the fit. Cloth has to be shaped and formed. So traditionally, it's not quite the way now, but usually it used to be 4 years of learning to make in a workroom, and then it would be a further 3 years in the cutting room, and that would be combined with college, and that's where you learn to draft.
So you start sewing as a tailor, and only then, after you've completed that, do you even learn to approach a human being and try to figure out what a suit looks like.
Well, that's exactly it.
So how has that changed since you did this legendary apprenticeship at Anderson and Shepherd, one of the great houses on Savile Row? You now take on your own apprentices. How has that changed since your days learning?
Well, a lot of the young people are very, very keen. There's an awful lot of interest, I think, in tactile professions. People love the ability to create something and to make something. So and especially with the internet and such like, there's a lot more understanding of the craft rather than just being an expensive product. People know what goes into it a lot more now. But we struggle a little bit because people are very, very keen, but when it actually comes to, OK, let's start the process, and they realise how far they've got to go, and you sort of say to somebody after 3 years, OK, your career, if it was from floor to ceiling, you've got about 6 inches off the floor in this first 3 or 4 years. That causes a lot of people today to want to jump ship. So it is difficult to get people to see it right through now.
And this is a crisis for your trade in a way because, you know, we're all buying off the rack. That's what I'm wearing right now. And there aren't enough people trained willing to go through these 7, 10-year apprenticeships to learn how to do what you do. There aren't enough people to do it.
Yeah, it's a simple fact. It's a simple fact. And to make things even worse, after I'd been in the trade for 10 or 15 years, I thought I had quite a good angle on it. But now I look back at what the work I did 15 years ago and I think, oh, that was terrible. so basically, that's the minimum.
But that's style.
Yeah, there's lots of things, but it's not just style, it's technical things as well. You know, what you thought was technically correct.
I want you to sell me on it. I spend $1,800 on a suit. I'm going to $2,100. I'm outraged. And you go, well, I'd like you to spend double that on a suit. Why am I spending double a normal rate on a suit? What do I get?
Well, I think certainly with Savile Row and what we make, it's far more personal. Basically, the cutter, which is myself, which is the part that I actually play in it, I look after the whole process from start to finish. Then we have an individual who will make the jacket completely. We will have an individual who will make the waistcoat and the trousers. And it really is nearly all done by hand. So it's a little bit like, you know, you get very top-end cars where you get certain individuals that work on the engine, and then the engine is given a stamp from the maker, you know. So it's that type of thing, and the process involved with it. When we say the hours involved, that's like a minimum, because sometimes we'll put a garment together and we'll put the sleeves in and we'll look at the collar and we'll say, you know, I'm not happy. Take it apart, redo it again. Take it apart, redo it again. Which is another reason why we struggle to find people to learn the craft.
Well, certainly your suit is actually very beautiful, and there's enormous craft, but just so you know, these two guys don't usually show up looking so preppy. We have some photos of them in their free time. To be clear, these are not Tom's designs. This is Brendan.
What am I wearing
on
there?
Saturday night.
What is it?
This is his Gangnam Style, and wait till you see Tom Keene.
How did this happen?
Look at the face on Tom Keene.
Impressive.
What is this? How did this happen?
This is Saturday Night Fever with Tom Keene.